personal tutors, that have built these reputations and can command these really high fees to work with individual students. And what Mark foresees is that with the shift towards virtual reality, that there is going to become this demand for the best of the best teachers. Once the geographical borders completely dissipate, you know, if I've got the money and I want the best education in the world for my child, it isn't no longer governed by who is physically close to where I live. So suddenly we could end up in a position where, you know, a kid's getting taught science in the morning by a Nobel Prize winning scientist, and then doing a literacy class in the afternoon with a famous writer, or, you know, or award-winning literacy teacher who happens to live on the other side of the world. And I think you'll start to see that more and more, but using the virtual spaces as the medium.
Yep, thank you. I've got a question from Ahmed. Also, for a lecturer like mine who's good in programming, would it be hard for me to create VR content to help in my class? I'll answer this question because we work a lot with developers working on content. Just to give you a very high level nutshell on how to develop a content in VR. Basically, VR requires two types of visuals, either what we call a CGI, which is a computer graphic images, which is something that computer graphic individuals draw and design, and they build it, stitch it, and put it in 3D. And then this 3D content will be taken to a computer scientist. This computer scientist will program it and will create actions around it, so we can have movements, so we can create the experience. And all this is designed by a storyboard where you, the inventor of the content, have to build it. On the other hand, you can go with a 360 content where it's shot by a 360 camera or a video camera or a drone 360, so which will have real footage. Then again, it will be taken to the graphic engineers and experts to stitch it, clean it, and work it in this sphere. And then all this will be taken to the computer scientists to code it and develop it and get the motions and actions around all this. This entire requires storyboard. So one person cannot do all. We've met people who's got the skills to be an engineer and computer scientist and good in graphics, but it's difficult to get these all these done. I'll take another question also from Amit Drauf, which is he's saying it's a beginner question. What is the basic difference between a Vive and Oculus in terms of software handling? There are within, I also allow myself to answer this because it's also related to hardware. There are different categories of what we call them the products, where are in Vive and in Oculus, and there are a few that matches each other. There are a few here and there which is slightly more expensive, a little bit here and there. I don't want to, I know I work for Vive and I believe these are the best product in the world, but I don't want to get into this comparison. It's not the right forum here, but I can tell you that in general and more or less they both use the same platform, the same engine, which is Steam VR. From a content perspective, you won't feel much. A little bit here and there. The tracking system might differ from some to another. Some require base stations and laser that scans the environment for room scale, and some it has inside-out tracking. So depending on the use, you can reach out to the HTC Vive team if you have any requirement. One important thing when it comes to enterprises, institutions, and B2B customers, Oculus is and Facebook is not present in the Middle East and Africa region. They are only selling in some retails and online channels, while HTC has a dedicated team with warranty and services that you can reach out to them if you have any questions.
I'll jump on that one.
Yep, go ahead.
So that is one thing that I would say, Daniel, is that comes up from time to time is as a friction point in terms of VR and education, is the confusion that arises over where the content can be found. You know, and I've worked on projects where I've curated educational lists of content because, you know, if you're dealing with iPads in a school, then you know that you get your apps from the App Store, or if you're on Chromebooks, you get them from the Play Store. But with the headsets, it is a little bit different. You know, you can get content. If you've got a Vive headset, you can get content from Viveport. You can get content from the Steam store. Similarly, with an Oculus, you know, that you can get stuff from Oculus, you can get stuff from Steam, and it can be a little bit confusing to educators. I would broadly steer educators away from the Steam store, because the Steam store is much more open. There's a lot more inappropriate content on there. I've definitely never let any students loose anywhere near the Steam store. Whereas the Viveport platform, you know, you're not going to find any inappropriate content on there, and you're going to find it much easier platform to navigate in terms of the different types of experiences you're trying to find. And you'll find more educational experiences on there as well.
One of the things that I like about the Engage platform is that whatever you're teaching, you have, you know, password if you want, so only your students are going to get in. So particularly in this part of the world, you know, there's much more security for something like that, and that's an important consideration.
Okay, I'll take for the next 5 minutes more questions to wrap it up, because I know we're running out of time. I think Mr. Imad has got a question about an issue he's facing with HTC Vive. I'll get the right team to reach out to you so they can find a solution for you. I don't think it's the right forum here. If we're starting in VR, which headset do you recommend, David or Steve?
Well, at the time, what I could afford was Oculus Quest.